Hello, welcome to Sports World. Have your say with me, Amanda Davis, your weekly chance to tell us the score once the final whistle has gone today.
10 minutes to go, you have a good chance at that 3-3 because the emotional impact would be tremendous on United and will give us the upper hand, but it didn't go in.
Manchester United are flying high, but there's a tale of two Torreses at Old Trafford. Missing in action, have you seen Arsenal's defence or confidence?
It's nearly unbelievable to understand, but you have to take it on the chin.
The new boys are up and running and letting the fun times roll.
The chairman said, "Who do you want?" And I said, him, go and get him. I mean, that doesn't happen very often, does it? That's like utopia.
And there's more Twitter trouble for the top flight clubs as well. I'm pleased to say Leroy Senior's in the studio with me this week. We are sitting here waiting to hear from you. We're on Twitter and you can join the conversation using the hashtag SWHYS, and all the other ways as usual are available. But before we go any further, let's get a summary of the latest news. Hello, you're watching Sports World. Have your say with me, Amanda Davis. Leroy Senior is with me in the studio waiting to speak to you on this Super Sunday for Manchester United fans anyway. Well, we've got David on Skype with us from New York. United beat Chelsea 3-1, whilst their nearest rivals, Manchester City, dropped points for the first time this season. Leroy, it couldn't have gone much better for Manchester United, could it?
No, certainly not. They beat their close rivals, Chelsea, without playing well, and their nearest rivals, Man City, gave up a 2-goal lead and dropped points. So it's been a good day for Man United.
David, what was your take on it?
You know, it's a fantastic result for Manchester United. Whenever you beat your your title rival, it's a good result. And then it's icing on the cake with City dropping points. We just have to worry about making sure we pick up maximum points from our games and let them worry about themselves.
So Manchester United fans pretty happy, but it really was a mixed day for Fernando Torres. Loads of talk on Twitter and on Facebook already. Leroy, how do you sum up a day like that? A goal, but then a spectacular miss.
Certainly, and there's been lots of action on Twitter. They've got this one from Lord Sugar, says Torres scores now down to £12.5 million per goal. Andy Martindale says, someone point Torres in the direction of the tunnel. He might miss that too. And we asked, do you feel sorry for Fernando Torres on Facebook? I mean, the reaction was no. He's just unlucky, and that's football. And so I've said, who hasn't missed? Everyone misses. The important thing, he's rejuvenated his attitude with support from Mata and Morelos. And this final one from Week Spot Block just sums it up. It says, Torres scored a great goal and missed a sitter. Rooney scored a lucky tap-in and missed a sitter and a penalty, yet the headlines will all be about Fernando Torres.
I know there was certainly a mixed reaction in the office as to whether people felt sorry for Fernando Torres or not. I, it has to be said, do feel sorry for him at the moment. But what do you do? What do you think? Please do get in touch all the ways on the side of the screen. David, as a United fan, do you feel sorry for him?
No. I mean, you know, he's former Scouse. You know, £50 million for him. You know, how can you feel sorry for him? I mean, he did all the hard work. All he had to do was tap it in. And, you know, the guy on Twitter said Rooney had a tap-in. Well, that's what Torres did, and look what happened. He put it in the Stretford end. And, you know, he was the cruelest joke of English football, and he's back as the cruelest joke, too.
But don't you feel sorry for him because of this monkey on his back? It looked like, you know, he'd scored that goal, maybe broken down some of those barriers, and then within the same match, it's all come flooding back for him.
No, I don't feel sorry for him. You can't. I don't feel sorry. He plays the game. You know, Dimitar Berbatov's in a similar situation. Berbatov, you know, people say he missed the sitter. It all comes down to confidence, and Torres has none. I can't feel sorry for him. He's a professional footballer. He needs to play like one and act like one too. So
I have to agree with you, David. I don't feel sorry for him. When I saw that, I gasped, and then I started laughing. It's a normal reaction. If it had been a lower league player, you would have laughed because it was a horrendous miss. But I don't agree with that. He's lacking confidence. I think he's getting back to how he was. I think he'll put that miss behind him very quickly, and we'll see if Fernando Torres kind of move on from this very quickly.
Well, before we go any further, let's get the views of his Chelsea boss, WHYS.
I mean, to be fair, if you go 3-2 with 10 minutes to go, you have a good chance at 3-3 because the emotional impact would be tremendous on United and will give us the upper hand. But it didn't go in, so I mean, their penalty didn't go in as well. So it was a crazy game, a crazy scoreline at half time, but a good reaction for us from the second half.
Well, Zuhair is a Manchester United fan from Sierra Leone. Welcome to Sports World. Have your say. What was your take on Fernando Torres today?
Well, anyway, the feeling I have, you know, when Berbatov missed, an opener, and when Wayne Rooney missed the penalty, is the same feeling I think the Chelsea supporters, will feel about, Fernando Torres miss, because I think it could have been vital, United 3-1 up, and of course, and Chelsea keep pushing on United, and it's an opener really. I didn't believe, I closed my eyes, then people shouting, United supporter next to me say he missed. And I didn't believe he missed, because it could have been 3-2, then anything could have happened from there, Thank God he didn't score, but I think it's the best I've seen Torres play, really, this season. He's playing fine, but, it happened, I mean, Berbatov, Sir Alex, that's why he's hesitant about choosing him, but this miss today will make Sir Alex more hesitant, to be honest to you. You shouldn't miss, They could have made the game way safe, for United, and... but that's football, as I agree with my gentleman, your guest, and my brother Leroy Rosinho. That's football,
It is football. It is football. So here, I mean, don't you think the more vital miss in that game was the Ramirez miss early on in the game, 1-0? Don't you think that was more vital?
I think Sturridge came in his way, and then Dahia made the save, But he should have scored, at 1-0. Anything can happen in football. If you look at the chances Chelsea had, they had over 20 on, chances, scoring chances. United had 10. Look at the corner. I think Chelsea had 7 or 8, United 1 or 2. I mean, they had the chances. They cannot complain they didn't have the chances, But when you have 20 chances, then you score only 1. And you pay massive amount of money for players, That's, if I'm a Chelsea supporter, I'll be disappointed. When you pay £50 million for Fernando Torres, he's a great player, no doubt in my mind about that, They cheered him when he scored, but I know the feeling when he missed, because the goal he missed is more important than, possibly is as important than the one he scored, because it could have put Chelsea way in the game and anything could happen from there, But good luck for United, 3-1, and that's a massive result, because this fixture last season gave United the 19th title. But this year, because it came late, that put United 5 points ahead of Chelsea last season with 2 games to go. But definitely, it's not the fixture that will give United the title. It's a long, long, long way to go, But of course, it's a massive week for Manchester United. They beat the arch rival Chelsea. City dropped 2 points. If there is any chance for Liverpool or Arsenal to come back to the chase, well, we know what happened, at Fulham, and we know what happened, for Liverpool too. They lost badly today, and I think what I've seen today is still a 3-horse race, but still City United, the team to chase really, But Chelsea, Sir Alex said, he keep an eye on them, all the emphasis on the city of Manchester, but the emphasis still on Chelsea. I don't think they will keep having 20 chances and keep missing them. No way.
Well, Zuhair, you mentioned Sir Alex Ferguson. Let's hear from the Manchester United boss, who reflects on an interesting game.
Hard to analyse because there's so many mistakes in the match, but it's through mistakes you get an exciting game. And it was just referred to a minute ago, it was a basketball game. You attack, we attack, retreat, counter. It was agony. We were so careless in the first half. It made it so open for them, and they could have scored 3 or 4 in the first half. The finishing, Nani's finish was sensational. And at 3-0, we didn't deserve to be 3-0 up, but we did produce some great football at times and some great quality, and particularly from Young and from Nani. And once we get the ball wide, it was always a problem for them. They never really could contain that.
So that was Sir Alex Ferguson. I'm pleased to say we've got Murad with us from Ghana, a Chelsea fan. How concerned are you after that today, Murad?
not really concerned. I didn't have too much hope for this game. I was just, hoping that, by some miracle would win it, because our previous performances left a bit to be desired.
I must say at this point, hello, we can hear you. I must just apologise for the picture quality. I don't think it's that you're too embarrassed to show your face being a Chelsea fan after that. I think, sadly, we just need another light on you. But Leroy, let me just bring in a message from an English journalist, Henry Winter. He's posted this on Twitter. He says, first Spurs, now then Arsenal, now Chelsea. MUFC are so dominant over capital clubs this season, you'd fancy them for the Olympics. But I think there is a more serious point in that, United have seen off the challenge of Liverpool, of Arsenal, of Chelsea in recent years. What keeps them at the top of the shop?
So Alex Ferguson, he's the key man. And as long as he's at the top, he's going to drive players forward. The business he did in pre-season was amazing. But you know what? I saw Chelsea step forward today. I know it was disappointing, the result. I haven't seen Chelsea evolve since the Mourinho days. I think AVB's putting some things into play. I think it was very brave, made some good changes at half-time. So I certainly don't think Chelsea supporters should be hiding in the dark or feeling ashamed. I think there's a lot to look forward to, and you've got to take the good parts out of that performance, because there was a lot of good to be taken from it.
What would you say are the good parts, Murad? You did have a lot of shots on target.
Yeah, we did create a lot of chances, and Torres scored, so that's good. I feel if we had, been more clinical, we could have won this game, but we weren't, so we have the scoreline right now.
Well, let's just confirm how well things are going for Manchester United so far this season. This is the top of the table. They are leading the way. It has to be said, though, they've played 5 games and have 15 points. They're 3 ahead of as things stand there. Manchester City are in second place with 13 points, having dropped a couple today for the first time this season. Chelsea in third, Newcastle in fourth, Stoke City in fifth. We can have a quick look at the bottom as well, and it's West Brom who are propping up the rest. Bolton, Fulham and Arsenal. We're going to be talking about Arsenal in a minute. What do you think? Can you see, Arsenal fans, any hope of any silverware with your club this season? Please do get in touch with us in the usual ways. Steve has got in touch with us. What point do you want to make?
I want to make the point that you can never write off Chelsea. It boggled my mind that people were saying that a couple weeks ago they were finished and it was only a 2-horse race between United and City. And I think Chelsea showed today that they're a title contender just as much as United is. And I think, with the first goal by Torres shows that once the pressure is off of him, he'll be back to what we saw him when he played on Liverpool.
Steve, I'm going to have to agree with you. I mean, he's the butt of a few jokes, especially on Twitter at the moment. I've got one there from Andy Golson. He says, apparently Torres' strike in front of an open goal has just landed at a nearby farm. And I confirm it actually did hit a cow's backside. But that joke could easily turn, Steve. And I think you're absolutely right, because, people will be focusing on Torres. And in a way, that might take the pressure off Andre Villas-Boas in terms of evolving the football side, because Torres is taking all the pressure. And I totally agree that, you should be a little bit more inspired by that Chelsea performance rather than the result.
David, do you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hold on a second, Steve. Let David just come in there.
Sorry.
No, Torres' confidence will grow from it. Chelsea will be title challengers. There's no question. When they invest as much money as they have this year in the last 12 months, it's down to gelling as a squad, just like City has done. They will come good. They will challenge. But right now, Manchester United is very dominant. We didn't play well, and we still won 3-1. You know, as Ferguson alluded to, we gave them chance after chance after chance. Did Chelsea create those chances? I don't think so. I think we gave them those chances. Anderson gifted those 2 chances to Ramirez in the opening. He didn't track the run. I think it's United's league to lose rather than any other team.
OK, Steve, David, Leroy, thanks for speaking to us. Stay with us. We're going to be talking Liverpool, Arsenal and the trouble with Twitter in a couple of minutes' time. Please do get in touch. Hi, welcome back to Sports World. Have your say with me, Amanda Davis. We're going to be talking the trouble with Twitter in a moment. Do you think footballers should be allowed to have your say, or have their say, I should say, on social networking sites? Please do get in touch with us. All the usual means available via Twitter, Facebook, text, and on the phone as well, maybe using country code +44 2070 83 73 33. But we're going to move on to Liverpool now. They were beaten 4-0 at Tottenham today. 2 players sent off as well. This was the reaction on Twitter of Muslim Adamu. He says this is truly the darkest day. We will be hearing from Kenny Dalglish in a moment, but we will carry on where we were. This is truly the darkest day for Liverpool since Kenny returned. Ill-disciplined, second best in most departments, and poor at the back. Liverpool fans, do you agree? Well, Leroy Rossignol is with me in the studio. How disappointed should Liverpool fans be?
Extremely. They were totally outplayed from start to finish, and the sendings off had absolutely nothing to do with it. The referee's performance, I feel, was excellent, but Spurs were outstanding, and Liverpool just couldn't stand up to it.
And how quickly things can change, I suppose.
Well, I thought it was a very important performance for Liverpool, coming off the back of getting beat, because, you know, a true kind of gauge of a good side is when you get beat, how quickly you bounce back. And it's the first time Liverpool have been knocked back, and they didn't react very well at all. And you saw Kenny Dalglish looking extremely downbeat at the side of the pitch, the first time since his new era. And I just feel that the likes of Charlie Adam reacted in the wrong way. All the bad discipline came out, the people looking frustrated. But when you're frustrated, you still got to react in the right way and think clearly. I just felt that too many Liverpool players lost their heads, ended up down to 9 men, and that'll have a knock-on effect in terms of players' availability, but also in terms of how they approach the next game. You know, will they be as confident as they have been in the start of the season and be on the front foot, or will they start a little bit on the back foot? I think it'll be the latter And Kenny Dalglish has got a lot of work to do in terms of just lifting the whole squad.
Well, you mentioned Kenny Dalglish seeming somewhat downbeat. Let's have a listen to what he was saying after the match.
We started poorly. We never passed it as well as we have been passing it, or as quickly as we have been passing it. So for us, I think that's where it goes back to. Tottenham started better than us. They took the lead with a wonder goal for Modric. And then the other incidents that you probably want to talk about, but I think it's best left unsaid for us, because I think it only takes away from the performance for Tottenham.
Well, Zahir is still with us. He's a Manchester United fan, actually, from Sierra Leone. I think you saw that Liverpool game. What was your view?
I have tremendous respect for Harry Redknapp and Kenny Dalglish, no doubt in my mind, but when Harry Redknapp was adamant about not selling Modric, we saw why he wasn't, And it's a massive result for Spurs, after a shaky start, terrible start, of this Premiership season. Then I think it's bouncing back now. And the thing is, had it been Roy Hodgson, I think possibly instantly the crowd would have asked for his departure, no doubt in my mind. But Kenny Dalglish, is a cult hero, at Liverpool, at Anfield. He knows how to regroup. They will forgive him, the crowd. They will give him chance after chance after chance. That's the difference between when you are a cult hero and when you are another person, Kenny Dalglish is good at that, and Liverpool will regroup. Definitely, even before the new season started, I never said that Liverpool will win the Premiership this season, And I'm sure now, they can do something about not winning the Premiership after this result. And Liverpool, normally a disciplinarian team, for two sending off, I think that's moral and result-wise defeat for Liverpool.
Well, you may have noticed that we have another guest who's joined us on the screen. That is Alexander. He's an Arsenal fan from Moscow. And Alexander, if Liverpool fans are disappointed, what on earth are you feeling today?
Oh, don't even ask. It's hard to explain. It's really hard to even remember this result. So it's embarrassing, absolutely embarrassing start of the season. So I just want quick recovery, so I don't know, I want our players to fight back, so I don't know, I just want to move on.
Alexander, it's interesting because Arsenal supporters have been saying that for months now, that we want our players to bounce back. And it was embarrassing, that performance, because at one point Blackburn had scored 4 goals and only had 3 attempts on target, which I'd never ever seen before, and the defending was comical. The zonal marking, they were all over the place. Dewar was an absolute liability. So there's a lot of work there to do for Arsene Wenger. What's the answer? What can the players do? What can Arsene Wenger do to turn it around?
I don't know. I think the last game against Blackburn wasn't so bad. It was, of course, it was a bad result, but again, it wasn't so bad. We conceded 2 own goals, so it's just bad luck. So we conceded 1 goal from offside. So it's just linesman, and we conceded only 1 goal that was really that we really conceded. So it was really bad luck. We have a lot of chances. We had to score more, I think, but even that.
Alexander, is it made even worse, this, given that Arsenal of the 90s built their reputation on such a fantastic defence, and it just seems to have vanished this season?
Our defense was for the last few years was not so good, but this season I don't know how even to say about our defense. Of course, we had again we have Vermaelen out. Without Vermaelen, our defense is really weak. With him, it's much more how to say strength. So without Vermaelen, I think it's
okay,
so
Alexander, I'm just going to cut in there. Please do stay with us. We'll be talking more on Arsenal and the trouble with Twitter in a couple of minutes. Stay with us. welcome to Sports World Have Your Say with me, Amanda Davis, your weekly chance to tell us the score once the final whistle has gone. The conversation is already well underway on Facebook and Twitter as Manchester United came out on top against Chelsea and the search for Arsenal's confidence goes on. We want to hear from you. If you're a fan of the Premier League new boys, what are your thoughts now? We're 5 games in, and what did you make of the opening round of fixtures in the European Champions League as well? But before we talk all of that and the latest round of Twitter tirades, let's get a roundup of all the latest news. Hello, welcome back to Sports World Have Your Say with me, Amanda Davis. I've got Leroy Rossini with me in the studio this week. We're waiting to hear from you via all the usual means. And as much as we've been trying to get through a week without talking Arsenal right here on the programme, the Gunners just keep doing their best to shoot themselves in the foot. They were beaten again yesterday. Manager Arsene Wenger admitted they've lost their defence and their confidence, but struggled to explain what is going wrong.
It's very frustrating. It's difficult to swallow because when you have so many chances in the game, and on top of that you score 2 own goals, it's nearly unbelievable to understand. But you have to take it on the chin and think it was not all negative, despite the bad result, and continue to work on it at the moment. Defensively, we are fragile. Because the confidence has gone with what happened at Old Trafford.
Well, we've got Alexander with us from Moscow. Steve is a Chelsea fan in New York. But before we speak to you guys, I've got to bring in a message from a former Arsenal director, Nina Bracewell-Smith, on Twitter. She says, "I've always been a great admirer of Arsene Wenger. He has been immense for AFC, but there is something amiss." Alexander, what do you think that is?
I really don't know. I can explain what happened for the last few years, what changed. So a few years ago we have a team, a lot of people call the team one of the most, so that in future this team can be one of the best. But year after year doesn't change anything, so the team again was just not good enough to compare this season. As Wenger told us that the next season will be the different, but it didn't made any change, so I don't know.
Leroy, is it too easy to blame Arsene Wenger? Do you think more needs to be said about the backroom and the structure at Arsenal?
Not at the moment. I was asked yesterday, is Arsene Wenger a bad manager? No, he's not a bad manager. He's been a great manager. But at the moment, he's managing badly. And when you manage a team, you've got to recognise if you can't do something, get someone else to do it. You've got people like Pat Rice and Steve Bold on the staff there who are great defenders. Get them to work with those defenders, and I'm sure they'll turn Arsenal's season around very quickly.
OK, well, Arsenal's tweeting types like Robin van Persie, Jack Wilshere and Yossi Benayoun were keeping pretty low profiles last night. The same, though, can't be said for some of their Premier League counterparts. It's another week, another tranche of Twitter tirades from Everton's Louis Saha, Liverpool's Nathan Eccleston and QPR's new captain, Joey Barton. This is what he has had to say on Twitter, this time abusing his Wolves opponent, Carl Henry. "I bet you, Henry, feels like an idiot again today," he says. "He should just keep his trap firmly shut. Sunday League player. I wasn't happy another player tried to cause an injury when the game is nearly over just because he's inferior in every way." Leroy, we must put into context there was some history between Joey Barton and Carl Henry. But before we go any further, Neil Warnock says all of this is part and parcel of what to expect from Joey Barton.
If we were playing Tiddlywinks tonight or Dominoes, he'd want to beat me, make no mistake about that. And if you take that out of him, you know, I mean, let's be fair, he wouldn't be with us. If everything was rosy, you can't tell me he can't get in one of the top 4 or 5 clubs in the country. That's ridiculous. On a Bosman. I think we've swum the channel, me, chairman, and you know, I think it's a great signing, and I think it's lifted everybody else.
Leroy, Joey Barton, a club captain, should he be saying things like that?
I don't think he should be saying things like that, certainly not through Twitter or any other means. Let him do his talking on the pitch. And Neil's right, he is the sort of character who does like to express himself, let's say, but that doesn't help, you know. And you know what, in a lot of ways I do agree with him, but I could see it for myself. I don't need him to reaffirm it, you know, in terms of what happened at Wolves yesterday and last season. So he should lead from the front, do his talking on the pitch, and not bring up things which will just cause a problem to his club later on down the line.
Steve's a Chelsea fan who's with us from New York. Do you enjoy listening and reading what players say on Twitter, Steve?
I love it. I think it adds a whole other dimension to the game, and I think that the players should be allowed to speak their minds with social media. I mean, they're the ones playing the game, you know. And yeah, they should speak their minds only with their feet, what they do on the pitch. But I think that they also should be allowed to say whatever they want after the game. I mean, like I said, they're the ones playing. They know what's going on. They should be able to say what they want. Having said that, I think there should be limitations as well. Here in the States, you know, baseball players, basketball, football players, they're all allowed to tweet. But if they cross the line, you know, they will suffer the repercussions. You know, they may be fined, they may be even suspended. And I think having guidelines like that will keep, you know, the jabs on social media, such as Twitter, to a minimum. But I think, yes, they should be able to say what they want on Twitter, and I love it. I think, you know, it's very entertaining. It gives me something to look forward to when the match is over.
I think that is an interesting point, isn't it? A very blurred one at the moment about the lines and what can be said and what can't be said. We're getting calls in from Nigeria and Ghana and Tanzania, Libya, Cameroon, Switzerland, Yemen and Libya. And Nick has got in touch with us as well on Skype. You're a Fulham fan, I think. Nick, a great day today for you. But what is your view on Twitter?
First of all, let me say that it's the first time ever that I've agreed with Joey Barton. Possibly the first time I've agreed with a QPR player as well, but Carl Henry should not play in the Premiership. Having said that, I think that Twitter should be allowed for players, but it's obviously each club's responsibility to have a social media policy in place. Just like any other corporation would have, really.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. But, you know, it's interesting, Steve said about crossing the line. You know, we had a tweet from Ryan Babel where he posted a picture of a referee in a Man United kit. And that's what I'm saying, you know, about tweeting and crossing the line and talking about the game. I think players should be allowed to express themselves about things that are happening in society and you want to hear their views. But about a game, when it's just happened in the heat of the moment, I think it's a good idea to have a 48-hour period where they're not allowed to talk about that game, because you'll find what usually comes out is not really thought about.
Yeah, well, Joey Barton's being investigated by the FA in England. Louis Saha, on the other hand, isn't being investigated after he went straight onto Twitter after not being picked for Everton on Saturday. He said, "What can I say? Absolutely gutted, just not good enough. I am not good enough." He then used the hashtag absolutely destroyed. You can use the hashtag SWHYS and get in touch with us about what you think. Where does that stand, do you think, Steve? Is that acceptable, not acceptable?
Well, you know it's serious when he uses the hashtag. But yeah, you know it's going down. But I mean, you know, I guess like you said, it's tough to define exactly where the line is. I mean, you know, like I said, like here in the States, it's usually up to either the team management or the commissioner of the league to decide whether penalties should be handed out. Maybe it's borderline. You know, maybe you should suffer the consequences for that. But I mean, I don't know. I guess,
Steve,
you know, if Yeah.
I was just going to say, David Moyes didn't have a problem with it. He's absolutely delighted that Louis Saha's absolutely destroyed that he's not playing. That's what the reaction he wants from his players. And, you know, Louis Saha saying that I'm not good enough, well, my reaction to it was that, you know, he's not good enough because he's always on the treatment table and he needs to get off the treatment table and then get playing. So look, I don't think David Moyes had a problem with that. And, you know, for someone to express that they're disappointed not to be playing is a good thing for a manager to hear. Don't you agree?
Yeah, of course. I was just going to say, you know, it definitely depends on the reaction of the, you know, the other player as well. I mean, you know, this tweet, you know, it gives a sense of motivation as well. You know, I mean, you don't want to prevent players from speaking their mind when they want to motivate themselves, they want to motivate the fans, and they want to motivate the teams. You know, you don't want to stop that because that's all fair game. I mean, that, you know, that just promotes the game itself, and you don't want to diminish that at all.
Steve, let me bring you in on this one. You might have a feeling on this one, not to do with football, but a Liverpool player, Nathan Eccleston. He's in trouble with his club after tweeting about the 9/11 attacks in the United States. He says, "I ain't gonna say attack. Don't let the media make you believe that was terrorists that did it. OTIS, which is only the Illuminati succeed." Where do you stand on that one, Steve?
Yeah, I actually read that, I guess, last week when he posted that. And I'll admit it made me feel a little bit uneasy, especially, you know, on that day. I mean, I understand, you know, freedom of speech, but, you know, I think that was a little too insensitive given the, you know, the time, the day. You know, I think you should respect the people who were grieving that day.
But is it not, whatever you think about the issue, is it his club's role to censor what he says about non-football things?
Honestly, no. It shouldn't be up to the club. Because, again, like you said, that had nothing to do with the game, had nothing to do with the club, had nothing to do with a past game or a player. So I just know he shouldn't be punished by the club or the FA. But like I said, he should not have said that, period.
Okay, that is where we're going to leave it for the next couple of moments. Thanks to everybody for getting in touch so far. Please do carry on sending us messages on Facebook and Twitter. Maybe send us a text as well. But we will be back in a couple of minutes with more on Sports World. Have your say. Hello, welcome back to Sports World. Have your say with me, Amanda Davis. We've got Nick with us. He's a Fulham fan based in Sweden. And we've got Zahir, a Manchester United fan from Sierra Leone, joining us with Leroy Rossignol in the studio. Nick, we did touch on Fulham, a great result against Manchester City.
Fantastic, especially since none of us probably expected anything from this game. And for the first 20 minutes, it looked like we could frustrate them quite a bit. But after they scored the first goal, they totally bossed us for the remainder of the first half. And then scoring after about, 30, 40 seconds into the second half, I thought we were in for a real hiding.
And Leroy, Manchester City showed that they are fallible after all.
Well, they showed that against Napoli. I'm sure Fulham would have taken some heart from that. I thought Fulham played well in midweek against FC 20, so I expected a good performance from them. But I think Mancini would be a little bit concerned. 2-0 up, was that due to complacency or was it due to a good performance from Fulham? That's something he has to work out because they just, you know, just kind of hesitated in the last week or so and given Man United a big lift by that result.
So, Nick, just before we let you go, from what you've seen so far, what are your hopes for the season ahead?
Not really sure what to make out of the first 5 games of the Premiership and the first, 7 games of the Europa League. But I think we need to give Joel some time. I think the second half today showed that he has a game plan. I'm still waiting to see more of Brian Ruiz, who came on today and looked far better than his debut against Blackburn. I still expect that we should be competing for the places about 7 or 8 in the league. So still quite confident.
OK, well, there's a few more confident clubs this weekend. For the first time in 4.5 years, all 3 of the newly promoted clubs managed to produce a win on the same day. Victories for Norwich, Swansea and QPR. QPR was pretty emphatic as well. 2 wins, 2 defeats and a draw so far this season. And manager Neil Warnock is enjoying himself.
I've never really had any money to spend in my career, and I'm enjoying it. You know, the chairman said, "Who do you want?" And I said, him, go and get him. I mean, that doesn't happen very often, does it? That's like utopia. So I've had to pinch myself a few times. But having brought the 5-6 lads on board, the other lads deserve credit as well. They've fitted in and they've lifted their game. And it's when I see a performance like that, I am very, very proud because it was a team performance today.
Well, Cesar is a Norwich fan in New York. Zahir is a Manchester United fan from Sierra Leone who is with us. Cesar, what's your overriding feeling when you look at QPR there with all that money to splash around?
To be honest, I have no idea. You know, like I said, I just started following the Premier League. If anything, I'm just following more Norwich right now. Sorry. So
why Norwich? What made you support Norwich then?
You know, in the United States, the status quo tends to be you're either a Manchester United, an Arsenal, a Chelsea, a Liverpool, or as of late, Manchester City. And basically, I wanted to follow a team that really had to fight their way, had to overcome relegation 2 years, you know, that were promoted 2 years in a row. And, you know, the fact about it, growing up in going to college in a small town, I just love the atmosphere that I've seen from Norwich. And, you know, it's a place I look forward to visiting. The fans have been great, you know, and it's I think they have potential to at least do well this season.
Cesar, it's really interesting. You enjoy it. It's a great place, a great club, Norwich. But you know the players who scored yesterday, Pilkington, who was at Huddersfield, and Bradley Johnson was at Leeds. They were applying their trade in League One, not even in the Championship, 18 months ago. Do you think that squad that Paul Lambert's assembled can, through more spirit than ability, stay in the Premier League this year?
Absolutely. You know, the thing about what I love about the Premier League is such a competitive league. And in the case of Norwich, no fixture is going to be easy. They're going to be fighting every year. Every goal that they concede, every goal that they score is going to be determined. But I do believe that, you know, the one thing good about Paul Lambert is that he's able to make good substitutions, as well as he makes, you know, I like the way he makes adjustments with the team. Something's not working right, he changes it. I believe that this team has the capacity to finish somewhere between 11th and 13th place this season.
Well, Anthony Pilkington, one of the Norwich players on Twitter, has said Norwich buzzing after their first win of the season. Great performance from the boys. The fans were unreal. Again, they could obviously hear you there. But Zahir, as a United fan, in terms of beneath the top 3, the top 4, it is an incredibly open league this season, isn't it?
My dear, you know, I'm not carried away by 5 wins in a row. I remember, I think in 1985, I think United won 10 in a row, you know, in the first division category. Then, you know, there was no Premiership, you know, and they didn't win nothing that season, you know. It's a long, long season, you know. And if we remember what Blackpool achieved at the beginning of last season, and then they were relegated. Blackpool won more away game than Manchester United last season, and they were relegated, you know. And if we remember that last season, Wolverhampton Wanderers beat Manchester United, Manchester City, Chelsea at Molineux, and they beat Liverpool at Anfield. And they almost just managed to, you know, avoid relegation. It's a tough Premiership, you know. It's not the head-to-head result, you know, for instance, today United beat Chelsea. It's a massive result. But there are slippery grounds in the Premiership. There are teams very difficult to beat at home, you know. So it's a long way to go. And everybody remember the 3 Ws. We thought last season that the 3 Ws will be relegated, you know, but only West Ham were relegated, you know. So if you take a team like Norwich, you know, or like Queen's Park Rangers, you know, they're all fighting hard, you know, because it's the beginning of the season. You have to accumulate points now, you know, because when Christmas comes and you are way behind 10 or 12 points adrift of safety, it will be difficult to stay in the Premiership, you know. So that's why every fixture is difficult. Every game is difficult. No team really is here just to participate. They are to compete. Everybody wants to stay in the Premiership. So no fixture is an easy fixture. And I have one word, you know, for Neil Warnock, you know, the QPR manager. I think midway in the season, if you ask him which player is annoying you, he will say him, and we know who is him. And Leroy, who knows him.
Okay, Zahir, I'm really terribly sorry to cut you off. One thing we've got to touch on, though, before we go is something that seems a million miles from those newly promoted clubs. That is, of course, the start of the European Champions League group stages this week. A mixed bag in terms of the British sides taking part. Steve is with us, as is Yiğitcan. I think you're a Trabzonspor fan. How was your first experience in the Champions League?
I think it was very good, and you know that at 1983 we had a game with Inter, and that match also finished with the same score. And there is a Turkish saying that the history is all about the relapses and the recurrences, and we all waited for the same score, 1-0 at an away game for the first championship experience, and we are very happy to have it, actually.
I must say, of course, Trabzonspor beat Inter, no less, 1-0. Steve, Chelsea were in action. They got a win. But what is Chelsea's priorities this season?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Say again. I was just asking briefly Chelsea's priorities. I presume they are the Champions League rather than the Premier League.
Yeah, I think that with the addition of Andre Villas-Boas, I think this is their best chance to win the Champions League since the Mourinho era. I think that his youth will trump experience, and I think it'll help him to relate to the players better, and I feel that they will be more motivated to win. But I think that the big problem...
Steve, I'm really sorry. Thank you so much for getting in touch. We have run out of time here on Sports World Have Your Say. Don't forget to carry on the conversation on Facebook and Twitter. Goodbye.